Let me welcome you all to our second episode of Small Talk. So, the reason why we started Small Talk, and some of you would have joined our previous episode as well. The reason why we started Small Talk is because we thought that the world is basically changing, and almost everybody has prescribed social distancing, and but at the same time, social distancing is not a great place to be in. So while we should be physically distancing, we figured that it is probably the time for more social engagement. So one of the ways of this social engagement is, of course, to have a discussion with leaders and those who have experience, who have seen similar situations before. So last week, we talked about managing startups and businesses during uncertainty. And we also learned about some of the characteristics of a good business that stands the test of time. So one of the businesses that has indeed stood the test of time over the past 75 years is Wipro. And Anurag has been a VP at Wipro, and is a VP at Wipro right now, and has been part of Wipro for the last 30 years. And he's seen the IT industry go through quite a bit of upheavals. So today we'll talk to Anurag about what happened in the industry before, and also about his background and some other advice that he may have for working professionals. So Anurag, first of all, thank you very much for being here with us on this call today. And for folks, thank you for your patience and thanks for waiting. I've talked to you briefly about Anurag's background, the fact that he's been at Wipro for a very long time, and of course, also leading Wipro at this time when there is so much uncertainty in many different places, with people having to work from home, as well as all the changes that are going on in the world around us. Anurag was just telling me before we got on board, he gets hundreds of mails basically every few minutes. So, in fact, I had just sent him a link 10-15 minutes before that, and he had trouble finding that link. So that's how busy he is. So thank you so much for being with us here today, Anurag. So let's jump in. So the first question that I have is, Anurag, the world is just turned upside down, right? So there is so much uncertainty everywhere. But when a company's been around for this long, and when you've also seen the industry for such a long time, and you've seen this several times before, be it during the whole dot-com bust, when there was so much of change, during the 9/11 terrorist attacks, and when the whole financial meltdown happened. So you've seen this before. So can you tell us a little bit about your background, about the different roles that you've had at Wipro, and what are some learnings that you've had as you've seen this over the years?
Sure. So, team, first apologies. There was some technical challenge for me to get in. As Arjun said, I have been in Wipro for 30 years, right? So I always worked here. During this whole phase, the challenges are of different types. It could be a challenge like you mentioned, whether it's a 9/11 or a recession in US that hit us, or it is a oil crisis or anything else. But it is not only about that. It is also about the way technologies have changed, and they have completely changed the nature of the industry. Believe me, the IT industry is one which has always come out stronger than any other industry whenever a particular crisis has hit us. Any crisis that has hit us, believe me, IT industry is the one which has come out the strongest. There is obviously an immediate blip that takes place. Even if you look at the current crisis, while today we have reached a stage where almost the entire industry is helter-skelter. How do I make the business work? We have in large organizations, we have like 150,000, 200,000 employees. How do you make everybody work from home? Because everybody is not enabled to work from home. Your networks are residing inside the organization. There are a lot of confidentiality and privacy of data that customers have. We work with customers in the healthcare sector, in banks, which large organizations where confidentiality is extremely important because they are holding the customer data, and they have never agreed. Forget about working from home. Even in their offshore development centers, people are not even allowed to take a piece of paper and a pen. They can't take their mobile phones so they can take screenshots. And here we are. We have been talking about digital transformation. Everybody should be enabled to work from home anywhere. And here we are, within a span of 7 days, almost the entire organization, not only the one I represent, but almost the entire organization is working from home. There's still those big banks, still all those healthcare companies, all those technology companies, they're all enabled us to work from home. They were given us the approval and we are doing it. Now, something that, in a long run, the CTOs and the CEOs of the companies could not do, all that is done by a COVID, right? Now, obviously, don't take it in a positive sense, that COVID is what we need to get these transformations done. But I think these are the crises that hits us, that makes us think, and makes us ponder that the risks that we live in our lives today, right? And in all this kind of a thing, while I've been heading the business continuity portfolio, and a lot of times, our government's agencies come and tell us there are many essential services that need to work. For example, we are directly working with the hospitals and healthcare systems, and we are directly working with the airlines and banks. A lot of their systems we are maintaining here today, live here. Now, how can you just stop everything and start moving everything home? And then they say, okay, move a lot of essential services people inside the offices. But then what happens about security, of the safety of the people? What happens to your social distancing at the end of the day? And that is where the challenge becomes much higher. Now, today, while we can talk about this challenge as a transient challenge, it just hit us without a warning. But if I really look at it, 6 months down the road, 6 months down the road, what are the things that are going to change? So that every organization is going to work on to say, do I have the right infrastructure that I can build so that if any crisis like this hits us, doesn't matter where the individual is, we all can work from home, right? For example, our Wi-Fi and internet, today I struggle almost 10 to 12 minutes to get into this call, maybe 15 minutes to get into this call, because somewhere some Wi-Fi did not work. Where we are doing level 1 calls, all airline reservations are happening, all the call centers are working. The service quality of those calls obviously must be lower than what it is normally. There may be call drops that are happening. So if you call somebody and call drops, and then again you get into another agent and you restart everything. Now, that is why people say, there's no, you can work from home. But think about it 6 months down the road. Governments are already talking to us, how do I build or strengthen the infrastructure of communication infrastructure, not only in the India, but across the globe. So that we strengthen the internets, we strengthen the communication systems, so that in future, if you have to work from home, these things work very well for you, right? Our feeling is that in the short run, definitely there's an impact. If you look at the manufacturing industries have come to a complete standstill, right? Their workers cannot go to their factories. They go to the factories, not getting manufactured. China was down for 2.5 years. 2.5 months. I apologize. 2.5 months. Lot of spare parts we were not able to get from China. Now, if you're not able to get all the spare parts, that means manufacturing that needed to take place is not happening. Your laptops, computers are short in supply because a lot of parts used to come from China. Your cars manufacturing has slowed down because a lot of parts has to come from there. There is a short supply. However, when people emerge from this crisis, they will think of ways by which they can mitigate these things, and maybe you will get into automation. You will get into artificial intelligence, which is going to automate a lot of stuff that today is happening manual in nature. Now, who is going to do it? The IT industry, in all such kind of crisis, has actually emerged and provided the solutions which are less dependent on physical locations, what you do. You talked about, Arjun, about the past crisis. There is an oil crisis happened. After 9/11, after 9/11, the oil prices actually had come down significantly because of the time when the airlines were not functioning very well. The airline business had come down, and there was that ultimately led into an oil crisis. Many of our customers that we worked with in the oil industry, they were in deep trouble. Their stocks had gone down, their profitability had finished, and they came to us and said, us meaning us in the industry, not only the organization I represent, but they came and said, can you help us out? There was a phase of almost 1 year where all of us chipped in, worked on solutions so that in future that industry is right. So once that happens, we came out with the solutions for 1 year or 1.5 years. That whole organizations were in doldrums. But the way they said was that we have to save cost up to 30%. Can you do that? Now, when we brought about the automation solutions, you realize that industry started getting back into the shape. And today, as we speak, all those oil industries are back in big business, doing very well at the end of the day. Now, today, with this COVID happening, the airlines have come to a complete standstill, right? I mean, very few airlines are still operating in the world today. Many of the airlines in India are completely down. Now, what happens to the airline industry? Obviously, there will be a impact to the industry today. You look again after 6 months, what would happen to the industry? The way they operate, the way they bring about operational efficiency, the way they bring about automation, where they bring out automation in that particular industry has to work. Who is going to do all that? At the end of the day, that is where a lot of IT organizations will speed up and will do that, right? So that is why it is important for you to understand that any crisis that hits, there is always a positive side of that particular crisis. People are talking about job losses will happen, people may have to lay out. It is true that the kind of impact that this crisis has done to organizations across the globe, there will be a blip in their profitabilities because there is no product that is getting manufactured, there are no services that are happening, your costs are still remaining the same, your revenues have stopped. Rest. But if you look at upon 6 months to a year from now, you will see many more requirements will start coming in, and that is going to prep up the industry. And after a couple of years, we'll look upon this and say, okay, this crisis now has changed the way we work. When you talk about working, today we are talking about working from home. Almost every industry is talking about home. Some industries have a zero impact. 100% work from home happened from the day one it happened, completely not impacted. Some of the industries are struggling, but these industries are coming out with the solutions so that they can enable themselves to work from home. In future, would you need these big infrastructure buildings that are there today that are housing like hundreds and thousands of employees? I'm not saying it will go away, but maybe next year, can we look at least a 30 to 40% reduction? Because now people have learned the new way of working. The infrastructure in the countries will change, and then you will be able to work, right? So that is how I would kind of answer this question at this point, that every crisis has an opportunity on the other side, and it is for us that are we geared up to work on those opportunities.
No, thank you so much, Anurag. The spinning this positive side of the story, I think, is very important, and I'm so glad it's coming from somebody who's seen this several times before. Because for several of our students and the community at large, for many of them, this is the first crisis. This is the first time they're seeing so much uncertainty, and they're seeing so much of change and fear. So the way you said it, which is basically that this is more of a temporary, maybe 6 month issue, 4 months, 6 months, whatever it is. But at the end of it, all of this is going to come back and emerge far stronger than what it is earlier. It's just going to be different. And it's not something to be worried about. The world is not ending. So the second question, Anurag, is really around this whole concept of working from home, right? Many of us are struggling with this. I'm definitely struggling with it. Sometimes during the meetings, my kids are coming in and out. Sometimes there are bandwidth issues. It's hard to figure out where your personal life ends and where the professional life starts. So, managing different teams which are distributed, all of this is challenge. And, our teams are much smaller. We have a few hundred, 100 people that we need to work with. But Wipro, of course, has, as you said, 150,000 people across the world. So how is it that, how are you thinking about work from home? what are some best practices around work from home that is implemented that takes into account both the mental health issues associated with that of not being around employees, as well as ensuring that productivity actually happens?
Yeah, and I think I think it is something that everybody, all of us are learning, right? All of us are used to be going to offices and working, and maybe take some odd calls at home. And believe me, most of the people on the call, I think, are you're all young in the industry, and you guys actually teach us better in terms of how do you work from home. But one thing that we must understand when we are working in a professional environment, when everything is happening from home, is about the discipline in the mornings, right? So a lot of times from home, I can get up whenever I want and I can work whenever I want. But believe me, it doesn't work like that. Some of the things that we have to actually tell the people that you get up in the morning, take your shower the way you take a shower while you go to a home, like you go to work. Uh, get ready, wear your normal office clothes, come and sit down at your workplace, whatever time it is, 9:30, 10 o'clock. You sit down at your work desk and start working from home as if you are working from office. Because what happens is that the collaboration becomes very important when it comes to the workplace. While in office, you are the people are all available. If you need help, you just walk across a desk, take a help. If you want to huddle into a meeting, you get everybody into a meeting, you do whiteboarding, and whatever brainstorming discussion happens, and you take it up. How do you do it here? Now, of course, there are many tools available. You have WebEx, you have Microsoft Teams, you have many other products available, uh, where you can do whiteboarding, where you can have discussions, you can share files and presentations. If everybody is not disciplined, that I'm sitting at my desk right now, everybody is sitting on a desk, and I want to reach out to somebody, just like you just get to the next desk and tap on a shoulder and do this. In a work from home scenario, you have to do the same thing. You have to tap onto a shoulder, not a physical shoulder, but a virtual shoulder, right? Which means that in a group, let's say in a Teams kind of applications which are there, you can tap on somebody, share a file. Can you give me a perspective? Take an opinion, get it there, or huddle together into a meeting with everybody on a video call. There are 10 people on a video call in the same meeting. Now, all that can happen only if you're disciplined about working there. Second thing, if you're working on customer projects, customers are extremely worried at this point of time, extremely worried. What happens to my what happens to the security of my data? Because you'll be working with retail customers with a lot of personal data is there, or the healthcare customers, a lot of medical records are there of the people. Now, if you on your systems at home, typically you would play games. You may have a lot of different applications that you'll be opening up and running with it. Uh, if your systems are not fully configured with all those antivirus and cyber security solutions, then the entire customer data comes at risk. Now, today, many of the employees, you are able to give them their laptops and desktops that they took home, but many employees could not even take it. Now, they all are working with their personal computers, right? Like many of you, I'm sure, would be working on your personal computer, because when this sudden lockdown happened, many of you probably could not take out those systems out. If you're working on a personal laptop, you may have different kind of gaming solutions and apps and things like that. You have to be careful that if I'm working from home, I should not mix between the two. Okay, I've got a 30-minute break, let me play a game on my laptop and come back. You should not do that. If you are working from 10 o'clock to 6 o'clock, at 8 hours, the way you work in office, or you finish your work. After you have office, you have switched off your normal system, and then you go and do whatever you wanted to do earlier. But you have to segregate the work between when you are working, you are working. When you are doing personal stuff, you are doing personal stuff. That etiquettes are very important from a confidentiality perspective. There are some of the things that happen. You see something on the screen, and say, oh, it's interesting. You call some of your family members or your friends if you're staying in a PG accommodation, and people come and say, see, why don't you watch this? There are a lot of confidential data which is meant to be confidential. Like I am sure most of you would have worked in offshore development center, where you are not allowed to take even a phone camera and things like that. You should be careful about not to take pictures of that, because if one instance where you may have shared something which you are not supposed to share, and that gets viral, your entire organization could come at risk. And more importantly, you personally, because you are bound by what you commit to the customers, your integrity get questioned. So it is important that a lot of times, you may have want to have fun, I say it doesn't matter, let me do it. But the social media etiquettes become extremely important when you're working from home. In offices, you are anyway not allowed to do it. It's easy to control it. But when you are working from home, you have to be responsible yourself. If you are not responsible yourself, then in future, as soon as you are out of this embargo, then this work from home concept of the new way of working is something which will become very difficult for any organization to implement, and that would not be good for the industry as such, because many customers will desist from doing it. And now this is an opportunity, let me call it, in this era where you balance between a physical office versus a home. You don't want to lose this opportunity, and you are the young blood for this industry for the future. It's very important that you follow this kind of etiquette when you do that. So I can go on and on. I mean, I'm sure on these lines you all can think about many such things. That only one thing you remember is that when you're working from home, when you're working. So don't mix between personal and work etiquettes at that point of time. Some of you, one point more I would like to add here is that some of you would be, probably not having sufficient work to do because you are in between two projects right now, or maybe you are a student right now, and your colleges are closed, and you're waiting for college to open. You have 2 months free with you, or maybe some of you are working, but you currently do not have an active project with you. What do you do now? Is it a holiday? In some terms you can call it a holiday, because you may or may not even have an official system, you may not have an official project. Believe me, this is an biggest area of opportunity for you as an individual. Can I go ahead and learn? Can I go ahead and get trained? You have all logged in to some course in Great Learning. Please use this opportunity to go ahead, spend double the time on learning, because when you come on the other side, when the businesses start working business as usual, if you have used this time to effectively learn a new skill, believe me, you will be the hottest in the industry. You don't need to worry about it that today you may be on bench or between two projects, but when you come out, you will come out stronger. Even if you have a project, just use the time that you used to use from going from home to office. If you had 1 hour of commute time, you're saving 2 hours a day. Use those 2 hours to study something, to learn something new, to reskill yourself, learn automation, learn some new data science, or whatever course that you're doing, either in Great Learning or otherwise, because this is the time that will never come back to you in life. And if you have really enriched your resume by having these kind of skills, you will realize that when you go back, your equity in your organization becomes higher, because you have picked up something that is very hot in the industry today.
Yeah, no, thank you, Anurag. This was very useful how you put all of these things together. And finally, in fact, that would have been my next question as well. What advice do you have for folks? And I think you've hit the nail on the head by saying, use this opportunity to study, use this opportunity to learn, so that once you come out, then you would be in a very good position. And I think you also specified directionally some of those areas, be it in automation, be it in data science, be it in these skill sets which are going to be very relevant in a post-corona world. And for the benefit of some of our audience, we have a free resource, in fact, available called Great Learning Academy. You can go to our website, and then we've put a lot of our courses out there for free. So if you want to start learning, you can actually go there and start learning right now without actually even enrolling into a longer duration course. So that's something that's available. So let's actually take a few questions from the audience in the next 15 or so minutes. I think there's quite a bit of questions, and folks, I may not be able to take all of them, so I'm going to curate and post to Anurag the ones that I think will be the most relevant for everyone. So Anurag, there's a question here on, in general about on-site opportunities, right? I think even right now, a lot of folks think of going on-site. So do you think the industry is going to fundamentally change around that? And then folks will not want to send people on-site. And I think there's also, I think yesterday or today, there was a article on the news that I read about some lawmakers or people signing petition in the US for not taking H1Bs for this year. So do you think that is actually going to fundamentally change as people are going to get used to working remotely and seeing that being a productive way of working?
In the short run, I don't expect any fundamental changes that would happen here. When I say short term, obviously embargo has to lift, and flights have to open, and the countries have to become normal. So I mean, leave out next 3-4 months. I don't think too much travel is going to happen in next 3-4 months. But I'm saying once we come out of that whole thing, there is a value of an on-site, because the people to go and sit in front of the end customers. When I say end customers, we are working for a retailer, right? For a retailer, for somebody to understand and appreciate from their end customers' perspective, what are the kind of challenges they have, how should the business solution look like. It is important to be direct in touch there to get a feel of the whole thing. So I don't think it will become zero. But what would happen, in our evaluation, is that the new ways of working is going to change. It is and in the new ways of working, when I mean new ways of working, is that a person can be anywhere in the globe, right? Even in US, for example, many of our people travel from one city to the other city and work at a customer location. We are already seeing the traction where customers are saying it doesn't matter, you don't really have to come to our place. You can work from there, because if that video technology becomes better, you can actually be on the video call whenever we need to do these discussions. I don't need to physically come here, right? So my feeling is that as we go along, things like crowdsourcing will become much more prominent, where you put up a piece of work and the work can be done by anybody in the globe, doesn't matter where the person is standing. Definitely that will go up. The demands for H1B primarily have already reduced because of various compliance reasons. That would further decrease, but I don't think it will go away.
Got it. Understood, Anurag. So let's continue with a few other questions here. See, one of the things that have come up quite often is this thing around, I think you touched upon this earlier, but this thing about data security. And I think that is very pertinent to a lot of larger organizations which are working with client data. So and I think you said that many CTOs and CEOs have now given permission for that, where people are allowed to work from home with actually confidential data. Is that right?
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, when it is allowed, in whatever short lead time that we had, organizations are putting up some of the secure agents, they call the cybersecurity agents, things like Zscaler, things like BitLocker, that we are putting onto the devices so that it doesn't become, so that you can't copy your data. For example, you can't copy your data from your system onto another system. We have technologies like VDI, which anyway in general help in ensuring that data security is there, and you don't get copy all the data. Technologies like BitLocker prevents that, basically encrypts your hard disk, so that even if the hard disk is stolen, you can't just decrypt the hard disk easily, because there's a BitLocker there, and that hard disk become useless if somebody wants to steal the data. So a lot of these technologies are available today, which organizations are installing on the desktops and laptops that are being shipped out to people. When people are using their personal laptops, even there, you are basically connecting to VDI to a customer network, and the VDI protects that to happen. So to a certain extent, we are doing it. But things like, if you have opened a screen and on a screen somebody takes a screenshot of the screen, right? So you are working on a particular data and you take a screenshot, that you can't protect right now. But as we speak, there are people who are working on a technology by which even that could be protected. But at this point of time, it is not there. And that is where I say a lot of self-discipline has to come, where even a screenshot of a screen is not taken, where when you are dealing with a particular confidential data. And I'm sure that discipline is going to evolve as we go along the cycle.
Got it. I think you mentioned earlier that some areas like that, specifically, let's say data science or these areas, might become interesting. Now, is it going to become more interesting, or is there a trend towards it changing trajectory, or is it mostly because it was anyway interesting and there was a lot of companies were having requirements around those areas, and so that is going to take us temporary pause and it's going to come back later? or are there going to be new opportunities created because of this? For example, we know that in China that they are using these facial recognition things to track the movement of people. So that's like a new area that has come in. So do you see new projects and new types of work coming just as a direct result of this crisis?
We feel a lot of new opportunities are going to evolve through this mechanism, and obviously it's a little premature for me to talk about those use cases, but just to give you a simple illustration,
Mm-hmm.
today, we moved about, let's say, 100,000 people across the globe today. We just moved them home. They were all working in offices. We just moved them home, including BPO guys who are taking those calls. Now, they moved, systems are there. We are tracking that they are working. We are tracking what they're doing with customers. What we don't know is what kind of a behavior change has happened to those individuals once they've gone home. Are people being as diligently working for 9 hours a day the way they used to work in offices? Are people having a lot of connectivity issues? Are people not able to give full productivity because earlier they could just walk across and take help from a colleague next door, and those people used to help them and they do it. Right now they're all alone in their house and they don't know how to solve a problem, uh, right? And that's why the productivity of those individuals has dropped. Or maybe the reverse is also true. Maybe some guys are much more productive if they're sitting quietly because they're not wasting their time in roaming around and talking to people, and we don't know that, right? We don't know what kind of technology issues they're facing. We don't know whether somebody is really playing smart and breaking the confidentiality and finding ways by which they can kind of steal the data, let me say. A lot of analytics around that is going to come. How is the business that we are working on, is the business that I'm supporting, is it safe or is it not safe? Is my productivity increasing or dropping? The new ways of working, are they effective or not effective? The moment you start getting into these kind of things, over next few weeks, I mean, I'm calling it weeks, not even months, you will realize a lot new set of opportunities are going to emerge, because through that, the new ways of working, the new models of engagement are going to come up. Similar thing is true with your customers, at the end customers, whether it's a retailer or a telecom provider. They would want to see the behavior of their end, let's say telecom provider. They will want to see the behavior of their end customers, how they're using the systems, by which they will come out with a lot of new options, a lot of new technologies that would make the telecommunication much more effective and efficient in this world, right? And that means a lot of data science work has to happen. A lot of data will have to be read quickly. A lot of analytics has to come around. Based on that, new solutions and new how the technologies will be used to conceive new solutions, those things are going to come around. So we feel there's a big set of opportunities that will come. Healthcare, everybody is talking about treating COVID in certain way or the other. Nobody knows. There's no vaccine. It's only a lot of speculation about what helps in curing COVID. You will see, based on the behavior patterns of the people, a lot of new analytics are going to come out. And again, data science is already being used. A lot of R&D is happening there to see how do we prevent it in the long run, things like that. So we feel the answer is a lot of new opportunities and avenues are going to come because of this.
So which is when when there is this crisis going on here, and specifically there is uncertainty. I think this is more at a personal level. What keeps you going, right? How do you, and when there is and I think you must be super busy at work. That is one thing, but of course beyond that, what kind of how do you look at this, and what do you do personally to be on top of it, to keep yourself charged and motivated when we are all locked at home and it is kind of depressing to be within four walls? How is it that what are you doing to make sure that you're super on top of everything?
See, for one thing, you all must remember is there's a word term phrase called noble cause, right? Everybody should think on their things, that whatever you are engaged with, what is the noble cause for that one. Now, today for me, my job is to make sure that everybody in the organization is enabled to work from home. Why should they be enabled to work from home? They should be enabled to work from home because they are serving a lot of customers for whom we are managing a lot of essential services. Our customers' business should not suffer. Now, some people take it up and say, okay, so it's about business, it's about money, it's about revenue. And believe me, I'm saying this because many people we have seen, writing on social media, or companies like us saying, they're making people to work, they're making people to come to offices, provide essential services, they're doing all that thing for money. It is not that. The motivation is not that. The motivation is the noble cause, that if today I'm supporting hospitals and I'm supporting the airlines and supporting logistic companies who are supplying medical supplies to people, who are making this whole economy work. Why do you make the economy work? Why do you make the industry work? Because if at the end of the day, if the companies are not doing well, it is basically the employees, they don't have jobs, right? So the motivation for you to do is that while this crisis is going on, believe me guys, this crisis is only some 2-3 months crisis. Just to tell you, China, my organization has worked in China. China, it all started, I think, around 7th of January. Day before yesterday, all my offices in China are open, business as usual, 100% attendance starting 30th March. And it's not only Wipro, but all our peer companies, everybody is open, right? Which is a positive side of the story. The efforts that you spend for last 2.5 months to make sure that people are safe, your business continuity of the essential services continue to happen, so that when you come back here, you are as strong as you ever were. You have not let this opportunity to drop a lot of businesses, so that some of your customers went out of business. You don't want that to happen, right? If airlines have stopped, you don't want your airline customers to get out of business. That should be the self motivation, and you all are working for various organizations today. That should be your motivator, that can I keep the lights on for the organizations, for whichever organization you're representing, so that when I come out on the other side in a couple of months from now, or whatever time it is, we do not lose the core, we do not lose the core of the business, so that we can build on that base, and and go forward from there, uh, and much stronger than ever, right? And that should be a motivation factor. Believe me guys, I've seen a lot of youngsters, in my own organization, who have been writing on social media, attaching prime minister, chief minister, everybody, they're attaching and saying, these guys are making us work like this, they don't care about safety and all that thing. It is not true. But people's safety is the most important thing. If people are not safe, believe me, 2 months later, the organizations will crumble under that. So people's safety is the most important part. But people's safety, it is also about doctors, it's about nurses, it's about police and military, which is supporting on the ground. It is about people who are providing essential commodities and services. Don't you think those are also the people that we have to take care of? Answer is yes. You give them enough precautionary measures, you take. But if you have to take precautionary measures for, let's say, 1,000 people, it's much easier than you taking precautionary measures for 150,000 people. So one, you have removed the exposure, you have kept 5 or 10% or maybe 5% of your staff which is still working in offices providing essential services. You have given them enough protection to make sure that they are all safe. For the rest of the people, they are working, they are in their homes, but in their homes you want them to work fully, so that your core of the business does not get lost. And to that extent, our customers businesses are safe and the jobs are safe. And that is what I would say, at the end, that should be your core motivator, a noble cause inside your mind as to why you are putting this effort. It's difficult. What you did in 9 hours in office, you probably have to do 14 hours at home, because you don't have so much support help available today. But if you look at 1 or 2 years down the road, maybe working from home will become one of the ways of working, and maybe half your business will work from home in a couple of years from now. And you are the responsible people who have to help and enabling that thing to happen. So that's what I would say, Arjun.
This makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much, Anurag. I know we have to be protective of your time, so we will end it here. There are several other questions. We'll try to get some of them answered to you on LinkedIn. So please follow us on LinkedIn. Anurag, again, we really appreciate the time that you took for us in your busy schedule. And folks who joined us from everywhere, thank you so much. I'll just close by saying one of the one of the highlights for me in this talk, Anurag, is the positivity that you brought, and just putting things in context, saying that this is a matter of a few months and things are going to emerge from this much stronger. And at the same time, the reason why we do what we do is also for a nobler cause. I really like that way of thinking, because then you stop getting out of out of this mindset of why am I confined here, but rather then you start thinking about what do you need to serve the larger community, right? And I think that's an important message for folks as well. So thanks so much, Anurag. I thoroughly enjoyed talking to you today, and thanks everyone for joining us as well.
Yeah, and thank you, team, and please stay safe. That's the most important thing, so that you are stronger when you come out. Okay, thank you. All the best.
Thank you, Anurag. Have a good day. Thanks, everyone. Bye.